I'd like to call this meeting of the Board of Education to order. Public notice of this meeting pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act has been given by the Board Secretary on September 2, 2025 in the following manner. Posted notice on the school bulletin board at the Administration Building, transmitted to the Courier Post, Philadelphia Inquirer, and the Clerk of Cherry Hill Township. Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Schimpf, can you please call the roll?
Ms. Sherfain.
Here.
Dr. Dreisen.
Here.
Mr. Greenbaum.
Here.
Mr. May.
Here.
Ms. Palmer.
Here.
Ms. Stern.
Here.
Ms. Winters.
Here, thank you.
We have a quorum.
We have no board recognition tonight, sadly, because it's my favorite thing. But we do have a presentation, and I'd like to turn it over to Ms. Staffen and Ms. Holmgren. And Nora, I'm forgetting your last name. Ms. Santiago, I apologize, to give us a presentation on the access results.
Good evening. My name is Faith Holmgren, and I am presenting the Spring 2025 Access for ELS data this evening. So you are aware, the acronym ACCESS stands for Assessing Comprehension and Communication in English State to State for English Language Learners. The data I am providing you with this evening includes the access test data from spring 2025, spring 2024, and spring 2023. We need to keep in mind that our multilingual learner population is highly dynamic, with students frequently entering and exiting the program or moving in and out of the district. Because the composition of the tested group can change significantly from year to year, variations in scores may reflect shifts in the student population rather than language proficiency, program effectiveness, or instructional quality. Here are a few important terms that you may hear throughout the presentation this evening. ML, or multilingual learner, is the new term used to refer to this population in the state of New Jersey. ELL, or English Language Learner, is a term that has now been retired as the New Jersey Bilingual Code goes into effect. ESL is the term used to refer to teacher certifications and programs. And ESSA, or Every Student Succeeds Act, is the federal K-12 education law of the United States. As we begin previewing the data, we wanted to provide you with an overview of our ML students over the 3-year period. You will notice that in 2023, we had 80 students who exited the program, and we have doubled that number in 2025, which is excellent, meaning double that number of 80 have exited our program in 2025. You may also notice that our ML population has increased from 2023 to 2025. And while doing so, we have also increased our number of ESL teachers. In order to comply with federal regulations implementing ESSA, All school districts in New Jersey are required to administer the Access for Ls to all MLs in grades K through 12. Also, all students in grades K through 12 identified as MLs in accordance with New Jersey's ML identification process are required to participate in the Access for Ls assessment. According to the Access for Ls interpretive guide for score reports grades K through 12, which was published in spring of 2025, the purpose of Access for Ls is to monitor student progress in English language proficiency on a yearly basis and serve as just one of many criteria that educators consider as they determine whether English learners have attained an English proficiency level that will allow them to meaningfully participate in classroom instruction without additional language support. Access for Ls is designed to determine language proficiency and inform instruction. It is not to be a longitudinal data source for tracking trends. The Access assessment is designed to be administered in person. Our testing window here in Cherry Hill in the spring of 2025 ran from February 3rd through March 28th. The students are assessed along a developmental continuum across 4 language domains of listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Students' performance on the listening and reading tests determine their tier placement for the writing and speaking tests. Scores reflect proficiency levels from 1, which is entering, to 6, which is reaching. While there are suggested guidelines for timing for each test, Access for Ls is actually not a timed test. Test administrators have professional discretion to allow necessary time for each individual student. This slide provides you with the percentage of our total student population who are MLs, and also shows you the ML percentage for the state as a whole. You will notice that our ML student population has continued to grow. Within our ML population, here you can find the top 5 languages that are assessed. Please note, home language is determined by what the parent or guardian provides at the time of registration. The data on this slide provides you with our access participation over a 3-year span for grades K through 12. I want to bring your attention to the very bottom right column on this slide. You will again notice here that our participation in access has increased by approximately 50 students from spring of 2023 to spring of 2025. As we move into the actual data from the assessment, we wanted to first provide you with a visual representation of the overall score composition. The overall score consists of 15% listening, 15% speaking, 35% reading, and 35% writing. Over the next 4 slides, we have broken down the data by grade, the year the assessment was administered, along with the breakdown of percentage of MLs that performed within each of the proficiency levels 1 through 6. As a reminder, Access for Ls is designed to determine language proficiency and inform instruction, not to be a longitudinal data source for tracking trends. Here you can find the data for grades 1, 2, and 3, or I apologize, K, 1, and 2. Moving into the same data for 3, 4, and 5. Followed by grades 6, 7, and 8, again, including the grade, the proficiency level, and the year. And concluding with this data for our high schools, grades 9 through 12. As we have done with our other recent data presentations, we wanted to provide you with the bubble data as well for access. Students on the bubble have an overall proficiency score of 4.0 to 4.4. When students reach a score of 4.5, they may be eligible to exit our ESL program. In grades K through 12 in the spring of 2025, we had 74 students fall into this bubble category, scoring within the 4.0 to 4.4 range. Some notable achievements. Participation in the Access for ELS continues to be high, over 99%. As I have mentioned previously in my presentation this evening, the number of students exiting our ESL program continues to increase, demonstrating that more students are reaching English language proficiency. As I just mentioned in the previous slide, the number of students scoring in the early part of the expanding range, which is 4.0 to 4.4, continues to grow from 23 to 24 to 25. And based on classroom performance, these bubble students who I mentioned in spring of 2025, the 74 of them may be eligible for a mid-year exit this coming January. In 2024-2025 school year last year, we had approximately 50 students exit our ESL program mid-year. Intervention strategies. Here are some things that we are doing to meet the needs of our ML population, not only for our students, but also parents, teachers, as well as the district as a whole. For our parents, we host Access for ELS information nights each year. We share information about the upcoming assessment. This is held in the evening. The Access for ELS results and guidance documents are shared with our families, not only in English, but when available, which is in many languages, we are sharing with their native language as well. So they're not only receiving the English letters home, they are also receiving the letters, if available, in their native language. These letters explain the results and the next steps in our program. For our teachers, team meetings are conducted to review data and create strategic instructional plans for student growth. We are also providing professional development for our ESL staff, not only in district, but also out of district. For our students, we are providing targeted instruction based on state assessment as well as local assessment data during classroom daily instruction. And we are also providing additional academic and social emotional supports outside of required instruction. A few examples are the ESL Homework Club, ESL Homeroom, and the Yell Club. Finally, for our district, there is continued support with staffing for our growing ESL program. That concludes my presentation this evening. Do you have any questions?
Thank you so much. I just wanted to kick off the questions by referring back to the charts because I had a hard time interpreting them. I thought it was me, and it probably is. But one thing that just clicked in my head tonight as I was listening to the presentation again, sometimes it takes me a few tries to understand things, is the fact that students exit with a score of 4.5 and do not continue taking the assessment. So I think when I was looking at this, reviewing it over the weekend, I was wondering, why are there so few students in levels 5 and 6? But the answer is because if they've hit 4.5, they have exited the program. So it's very different than looking at the data that we usually see from you, where we want to see the majority of students in those later categories, because that means they're being successful. I think because the formatting is the same as when we look at some of the other presentations, that's what wasn't clicking with me. So actually what's happening here is that we're getting a snapshot of where kids are when they take the test. Once they hit 4.5, that's why we're not seeing as many 5 and 6s. Do I have that correct?
4.5 is the first data point that is used as the criterion for exiting students from the program. So we not only use this is not the sole data point that is used, we also use informal data that we receive from the classroom teachers as well as from the ESL teachers. But students are not able to exit the program unless they have reached that 4.5 proficiency level. So that is the first indicator or first kind of gateway that we use in order to allow students to begin the exit process.
That's really helpful. Thank you so much. So just in case anybody else was struggling where my struggle was, that's why when you're looking at it at first, you're like, why aren't all our students at level 6? That's where we want them to be. The answer is because they've all exited the program when they hit the previous marker. The other thing that I just wanted to articulate to the board is that CNI, in anticipation of receiving this presentation, we asked for further background information. It's available to all of you. But part of it was the presentation, the family night presentation that was referenced here. We got a copy of it and you can all see it. But if you look back even further, I'm looking at the data now. In 2011, 2012, there were 223 students. It says ESL here now, it's ML students. And in 24, 25, there were 467. So from 2011 to 23, 2024, 467. In 2011, there were 8 teachers in the program, and in 2024, there were 22. So it just shows you the exponential growth of the program over time. So I think the 3-year look back is good in some ways, but when you look at it, from a higher view or a longer scope, you can really see how the program continues to grow in the district.
Absolutely.
And the number of languages served as well. So do any other board members have questions on the presentation? Dr. Dreisen.
Thank you, Ms. Winters. I would actually just build on your comment. The one thing I wanted to point out, if you go to slide 10, and please correct me if I'm wrong here, but this is the top 5 languages. I just want to point out that that's totaling about 61%. So there's 39%. That's a lot of more languages. So I just think it speaks to the incredible language diversity in the district, which can pose challenges, but I think is really incredible. And then my only other comment, this is consistent. Thank you again for a great presentation. When we get presentations like this, my only suggestion would be in the back, we have a slide on notable achievements. I think would be helpful for the board and the community before jumping into intervention strategies to then just spell out what are the notable opportunities, because it would just help me zero in on where we're trying to focus our efforts.
Ms. Sherfain.
So I apologize if you said this, but I missed it. All students that are identified as ML students participate in this program?
When students register, they are given an assessment, and oftentimes students are offered services, ESL services. However, sometimes they're refused. So even the students who have refused services but are identified as MLs, we also test those students as well. So they aren't receiving ESL services, but they have been identified based upon our incoming assessment of them. And therefore, so it's not only the students who are actually in the program, it is also students who have refused services.
And so they would be captured in some of this data as well. So some of
Yes.
them could technically be in the 4.5 range at some
Yes.
point.
Yes,
Which is a testament to the education that they're being provided outside of ESL services.
yes.
Awesome. Thank you.
Ms. Stern.
Couple of questions for you. If you are able to provide this, I'm curious how many languages that we currently have spoken in our district. Even obviously there are languages spoken at home that have not, these children are not in ESL at all because they don't qualify or they don't need, our ML students might not need the services, but
We don't have access to our NJ Smart Snapshot yet from 24-25, but when that data is provided to us by the DOE through NJ Smart, we will be able to provide you with the total number of languages, because then it will be complete data. So right now we could give you an approximate, but we can give you complete data once that snapshot is secured.
Thank you.
So if I can interrupt, I apologize. It is 76 languages, and that's from Ms. Katsikas, who supervises the ESL program.
So when I started on the board, I want to say it was back then in the 60s. So we have had an increase of more than 10, at least more than 10 to maybe, I think it might have been 61 or 62. I can't remember exactly. I'm sure most of you have been here longer than I remember the numbers, but in my short tenure, that has been a significant change. I guess along the lines of what Dr. Dreisen raised, I'm wondering about some of the challenges that you can share with us that you're just kind of seeing across the board for this population of students. Yeah, I'll start with that.
So unfortunately, Ms. Katsikas is the supervisor of ESL, and she is not able to be present with us this evening. But she will be able to provide you with that feedback, and I will ensure that we follow up so that you do have kind of an idea of exactly.
Okay, so I can share. So through her supervision, Ms. Katsikas has done an incredible job cultivating and curating resources for our students. As Mrs. Holmgren indicated earlier in the presentation, it is a very diverse group of population, and it's not static. They're constantly moving in and out. They're testing in and out. So it's really difficult for us to pinpoint challenges. So what she has done is she's articulated a true scope and sequence of academic and educational resources to be used with all of our all of our ESL programming, K-12, right? So with that, there's about 2,100 L students in our district as the data is coming in. We have over 2,100 multilingual students in districts, and about 500 of them are identified as multilingual learners. So like I said, she has done an incredible job. You saw the growth of even our staffing. So she is out there, she advocates for them. We have everything in place that is necessary and needed for our ML population to be successful, including a strong scope and sequence. They have double periods of instruction. They have the best ESL instructors. And you can see by the data how many are testing out of our programs yearly, including at mid-year. So to pinpoint challenges the way that we would for an NJSLA report out would be really difficult for our ESL programming.
Yeah, it's
Mr.
interesting. Thank you. It's interesting just in the intersection of, the NJSLA data and our special populations and NJSLA data and this population. So thank you. Great work. I have seen in years past, we've seen other different presentations also. And the work that is done for this population is bar none, and it is the bar. Cherry Hill, from what I've heard from other people from other districts, sets the bar for this work with this population. So this general, very diverse population.
Thank you. Sorry, Mr. Arnn, I didn't realize. Mr. Greenbaum.
Thank you. Just to piggyback on some of the comments, starting with what Dr. Dreisen said, I always love an opportunity to point people to where they can find more information. If you go to the district's website under Our District, About CHPS, there's a whole section there just about the cultural diversity of Cherry Hill. It talks about the number of native languages spoken, the number of bilingual students. I don't think it's been updated yet for this year. We're only 2 weeks in, but I always love to point people to that page. It's a lot of really great information about the district that shows just the size and diversity of our district and the many challenges that we face. Yeah, that was it. Just wanted to be able to point to a great data source.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Just a couple quick ones. On towards the end of your presentation on page 19, when you mentioned information nights for the parents, can you shed some light on the participation rate or whether in raw numbers or whether or not your team is satisfied with the numbers, and what, if anything, can we do as a board through the administration as well in order to get those numbers even higher?
So I will let you know that prior to hosting the information nights, we send out a ton of information to the parents as far as informing them of when the information night is. The thing that is we often notice is that the students and the parents are attending. And most of the students that we do see attend, as well as parents, are students who are in the elementary grades or newly arrived to Cherry Hill who are taking the assessment for the first time. So it is a very informative session. It alleviates a lot of anxiety prior to the students taking the assessment. So the parents understand why they're taking it and then what we are going to do with the data. And I feel like in allowing for the parents to be more comfortable, the students then walk into the assessment a lot more comfortable. I will tell you that last year, our participation, we saw about 60 families in the 2 prior years, so spring of 2024 and spring of 2023, who attended. As of last year, many of those second-time parents whose student had already taken the assessment, they did not log on. So I will tell you that just anecdotally, I noticed that we did see a decrease in participation as far as parents are concerned, because it seems that their students had already taken it and they knew enough about the assessment, didn't feel the need to attend. We will still continue to hold it because we do have obviously new Cherry Hill ESL families. And so we will continue to hold it every year because we do get positive feedback that parents do find it beneficial.
Great, thank you.
And if I can also share on that one, Mr. Mayor. So Ms. Katsikas she blankets the ML parents and community with all kinds of information nights and sessions. Her in-person ones are standing room only all the time. Her ones online, so she covers a lot of this information in multiple different places in multiple ways, which is why something online might look slightly light in attendance. However, she has gotten that information to them. She also has a parent advisory board where they give her constant feedback on the best ways of communicating and holding information sessions for them that are meaningful, in which they can get the information that they need in order for them to be successful at home and supporting their students in school. We received recommendations from, I'm trying to think, I'm getting all this, from the Bilingual Advisory Council and parent input. The events are community hubs. They share information, they build on relationships. There's making of friends. We have interpreters there to make sure that no information is missed. We have interpreting mechanisms in all of our schools so that our school personnel can also communicate back and forth on the spot, in person, with our parent community in their home language so that they're comfortable and that dialogue can happen. It's been a real highlight. As we all know, Ms. Katsikas has actually been recognized by the state of New Jersey for her work with the ML population in our district.
Wonderful. That sounds like a lot of best practices being employed. Last question, also same page, when you mentioned targeted instruction, is that at the individual student level?
That is at the individual student level, and it's also in small group in their classrooms. So as I mentioned before, using the Access for ELS data is just one data point that we are using to guide our instruction. So we are also using informal classroom observations. We are also using locally administered assessments. So it is just one data point. So yes, not only individually, but in small group during regular daily instruction.
Great, thank you.
Other board members? Well, I'm going to close with just one data point, but I think it's illustrative. There are 37 different languages spoken by students at Carusi Middle School. See our Carusi principal back there. So it doesn't tell the whole story, but it does give you a nice snapshot of what's going on in our district and how we're helping these students access the curriculum. Thank you very, very much.
Absolutely.
For
Have
this
a great
really
evening.
presentation. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Moving on, we have another presentation. It's Mr. Schimpf is going to provide us with a update on our bond projects. See a lot of construction around the district. I was just at Rosa today and that building looks totally different.
Okay, so very excited to provide the board with some project updates from this summer, work that's been completed, work that's ongoing. And then at the end here, I'll take about 10 to 12 minutes. At the end here, we'll talk about some of the projects that are upcoming. Okay, so over the summer of 2025, we actually had 5 different or distinct types of projects going on at several of the locations, obviously with the site improvements as well. So we'll get into Beck Middle School's security vestibule and the main office renovations there. Rosa Middle School additions and renovations, as well as the first phase of Carusi Middle School renovations. Kilmer Elementary School and Malberg Early Childhood Center additions and renovations, and also site improvements. So a lot was going on over the summer. So first, you'll see here the Beck Security Vestibule and Main Office. This project was actually bid back in April of 2025. That was awarded, or construction contract was awarded to Levy Construction for just over about $1 million. So this included the renovation of the main office area, is about 2,100 square feet, and created a new security vestibule within the main entrance there. So this included all new LED lighting, HVAC systems. You may have noticed if you passed by Beck that the main entrance canopy there is a bit incomplete, as Mr. Greenbaum knows from our meeting the other day. So the good news is the brick veneer on the canopy is scheduled to be removed and replaced over the Rosh Hashanah holiday on the 23rd and 24th, weather permitting. Once that's complete, the canopy fascia and the building lettering will be completed thereafter, hopefully by October 2nd, that second holiday. So what you see up here, obviously you can see the security vestibule on the top left. You can see it from outside under the new canopy. On the top right, lower left, the new reception window, ballistic grade, and the main office lobby there. I don't know how many of you have been to visit, but it's actually, it was very well done, remarkable, total renovation, restoration of that area there. These are just additional pictures of the office area. So you can see the conference room area, principal's office, the secretarial area there, as well as staff toilet room. So getting into Rosa's project, this project was also bid in December of 2024. A construction contract was awarded to Newport for about $16.2 million. The intermediate milestones within Rosa, so this is also going to be a multi-phase project, but renovations throughout most of the building, which includes new doors, hardware, acoustical ceiling system replacements, LED lighting, flooring, paint, and we're going to be converting the main office to 2 classrooms, as well as the existing cafeteria into music classrooms, including HVAC there. So the B wing renovations completed August 22nd. That's the 2-story section of Rosa in the back there. That is open to students. You can see a picture up here of one of the hallways and then one of the classrooms over at Rosa. So the A wing and C wing renovations are scheduled to commence next summer, so June of 2026, with a completion date of hopefully 8/21/26. That project actually had about $290,000 of unforeseen allowance attached to that, and there's still $283,000 remaining. So we're doing well with the allowance. We do have an anticipated change order coming for $45,000, which will be deducted off of that for unsuitable soils that they had to take out and replace for that reno. Carusi. So Carusi was also bid in April 2024. Newport was also awarded this contract. This is a large one, 27.5 million. As you all know, I think Carusi right now is the one undergoing the most work, extensive asbestos abatement. The roof replacements have been complete. New HVAC systems throughout will also be completed. Same thing as the other middle school ceilings, flooring, fire sprinkler system will be throughout that building. Emergency generator is also going in, as well as toilet room renos and the locker and gymnasium renovations. So phase 2 abatement, that was this, or began this year. So the abatement and renovation of the B wing, which is in blue up there, along with the C wing, which is in yellow, between the cafeteria and the gymnasium. The C wing, or the section in yellow, is actually complete and open for students. Phase 3 will include the abatement and reno of a portion of the D wing, music suite, cafeteria, and remaining C wing spaces. That work's also scheduled to commence in June of 2026 and should wrap up by May of 2027. The final phase, phase 4, is the abatement and reno of the E wing and remaining D wing spaces, along with the F wing, which is mainly the media center and those adjacent rooms. That's scheduled to begin in June 2027 and scheduled to wrap up in spring 2028. These are just some pictures of a science lab up in the Carusi renovated area, as well as one of the classrooms. I can tell you as well, in addition to the C hall being complete, the emergency generator is installed, although not fully functional yet. The fire sprinkler system is installed, and the new fire alarm is actually operational in A, B, and part of the C wing. The B hall roof is complete, and abatement and demo are also complete. So the B hall is scheduled to complete in April, like I said, April 2026. These are just pictures of the Carusi temporary classrooms that everyone's familiar with, and the canopy, which installed about 2 days prior to students arriving. Came out great. Everything we're hearing is it's wonderful. Carusi is doing well with the temporary classrooms. So yeah, I mean, these are the finest temporary classrooms I've seen. I can tell you that. So came out very well. That contract, the Carusi contract, actually includes a $400,000 allowance, and there's still about $160,000 remaining on that. That may not sound great, but that is kind of corresponding with the percent of the contract that's complete. So about 60% of the contract is complete. So we're trending well with that as well. Malberg, so we'll get into Kilmer and Malberg. The pictures you see here are actually of the Malberg edition on the rear, as well as the interior there. So the vast majority of the Malberg Early Childhood Center in Kilmer were not funded through the bond, but actually funded through preschool expansion grants. Those were bid in August of 2024. DeAndrea Construction received those contracts, about $9.2 million. Substantial completion is anticipated for prior to the Christmas holiday, we are told. Our facilities folks are hoping for a little bit sooner in December, so they can get in and get those classrooms prepared and prepped so they can start use in January of 2026. In addition to the additions and renos of the interior, a change order was issued because we did actually have extra funds in that preschool expansion grant. So the $1.2 million parking lot improvements at Malberg are complete. That change also included about $572,000 for the Kilmer drop-off loop, which I'll get to in a second. I think the front of Malberg, from what I understand, I haven't seen photos of the old, but I think the new bus loop and additional parking stalls has been a welcome addition. You can see a few pictures there of the new front of Malberg, excuse me. Yeah, so actually I'm told it doubled the parking. I think I had heard that they used to park on the street or on the grass, and I think that's helped a lot over there as well. So these are, we showed these the other night. So these are the toilet rooms which were installed in the interior of Malberg. As you can see, those are preschool sized toilets. So they are all complete as well. This is the playground in the rear of Malberg. State funds, again, state grant funds were used for this. This is one of the finest playgrounds I've come across at schools. This just wrapped up and should, I'm told, don't quote me, should be ready for student use on Monday, September 15th. So this is actually the Kilmer addition here in the rear, as you can see. Also a picture of the interior. The Kilmer addition is also scheduled to be complete in December of 2025 with student use in January as well. This is the bus loop or parent drop off, excuse me, at Kilmer that is now complete. There is still extensive site work that needs to be done at Kilmer. Some of you may know there's that basketball court, I think just to the left there that we still have to do, but a lot of site work was also done, sidewalks and other accessible improvements. So that came out well and is already being used. I was going to get to this, I think, in site improvements, but the Kilmer playground is scheduled to begin construction in the beginning of October. We're told that should also wrap up around the Christmas holiday. So weather permitting, students should be on that playground in January as well. So site improvements, in addition to the construction or the renovation and additions, we also had a lot of site work going on this summer. So at Beck Middle School, in addition to their security vestibule and office renovations, we redid the west parking lot there, which included a new sanitary service replacement, new sidewalks, and replacement of some existing sidewalks. Cooper Elementary, same thing. We did the main parking lot reconstruction there, added accessible spaces, new ramps or accessible ramps and steps at the main entrances. They currently still have temporary handrails. We're waiting on the final versions of those. They're supposed to be coming in the next couple of weeks as well, and they'll be installed, or they can be installed while school is in session. New flagpole lighting and the reconstruction of the existing playground is also complete and in use. High School Stadium West, over there, a lot of site work, added new accessible spaces in the main parking lot there, or the stone parking lot, as well as the small parking lot closer to the stadium area. New sidewalks connecting the home and visitor side bleachers, new concrete pad in front of the field house there, concession area. Some stormwater infrastructure was done, as well as a new trash enclosure. The fencing around the stadium is also scheduled to be completed in the coming months. That's ongoing now as we speak. The final site work improvements included the Barton and Sharp playgrounds. Those were also completed through a co-op contract, and those are complete and in use as well. So I don't have pictures of the site improvements. I'm going to add those next meeting. Some of had a little trouble with the file there, but everything came out well. The playgrounds look tremendous. Asphalt work was done well, no complaints. Just still some minor punch list items that we're working on in those areas. So planning for the future, what's next? This is one area I'm really jumping into and excited to be a part of planning the next phases of these projects, although some of them have already been planned. So like I said earlier, the Kilmer Playground is scheduled to be completed and in use by January. Also within the budget, this is outside of the bond, but within the current year's operating budget, the High School West's turf is slated to be replaced, as well as the track resurfacing. So we're hoping to commence that work after football season. Beck Phase 2, those bids are actually on the street. They will open on October 9th. And we can get into that scope of work, but it's similar to the other middle schools. We're starting to dive into the classrooms and hallway renovations, as well as the abatements. The East and West auditorium renovations and critical HVAC upgrades to the gymnasiums in both of the high schools. The plans for those are currently being finalized by the architect and other professionals, and those bids are going to be hopefully hitting the street in early October. With that, I know there was a lot of interest. So as of right now, the plan is the East Auditorium construction will commence first on that area. That's slated to begin, if everything goes well, in April of 2026 and should wrap up by December of 2026. And we will then jump into the West Auditorium in April 2027, and that will be offline until December 2027. We're also looking at right now and working with the professionals on additional security vestibule work. There's several factors playing into the locations that we're going to be doing that in. The main one being the associated abatements that may need to take place. So we haven't decided on those schools yet. That certainly will be a topic of discussion here at the board level once we know which areas we're going to choose. But again, we're looking to do at minimum 4 more schools in the summer of 2026. And then again, hopefully with the bid that comes back in October, we'll award a contract for Beck Phase 2, and that work will commence as soon as school lets out in June of 2026 for that phase. So that's kind of where we're at. Like I said, right now, I'm really getting involved in the conversations with the professionals about work beyond 2026 and some ideas I have for site work that I think probably needs to be done faster than some others. But we'll be talking about that as we kind of wrap our heads around, the next phases after these. So a lot of great stuff going on. I said in the finance committee or the facilities committee meeting the other day, major kudos to our buildings and ground staff for not only getting the buildings prepped as normal, but also dealing with major construction projects at several of our facilities. So glad to say all the buildings opened up on time without construction delays. I think everybody for the most part is very happy with the renovations and additions, and looking forward to opening up these additional areas in the coming months here.
Thank you so much. That is very exciting, all of it. Any questions from board members? Mr. Fain.
So first, thank you for your preparedness in that. You would have thought you've been here for longer than a month or so. Thank you so much for all of that. I just wanted to confirm, or maybe not necessarily confirm, but ask about the soil at Kilmer. Is everything taken care of with that, or is that still ongoing?
Yeah, great question. Sorry to bring that up. So that is still ongoing. As of right now, well, I think the most important thing to state, publicly is that the current condition and what was found in the soil presents no immediate harm or anything. It's well underground, in fact, covered with mulch. We were out of an abundance of caution, we were told to take the existing playground area right now out of commission until remediation will be required in that area. As of right now, with the soil testing that's been done, it's limited to that paved area where that playground is in the rear. Not certain, but according to the professionals and our environmentalists, it appeared because of where they're finding the arsenic hit. It seems as if almost when that playground was constructed, the contaminated soil was brought in during that construction, because it is not located and there have been no hits anywhere else on site as of right now. Yeah. There's a little more testing that's going to be done in the rear near where the new playground's going. That's supposed to be wrapped up this week as well, and hopefully that won't delay the construction of the other area. But we'll come back to you and alert you. There's a couple options as far as remediation. The one that makes the most sense is removal of the soils to the level where the environmentalist says we need to, bring in fresh soil and get rid of the old. And that could include maybe redoing that playground surface with the rubberized surfaces we placed on the other playgrounds.
Great, thank you. I did have one more question. Just for clarity, I know they said that they anticipate everything being done at both Kilmer and Malberg by the holiday break. Did they give you any indication that there's anything preventing that? Because we have students that are supposed to be starting in January. So is there any hint to there being any delay to those projects?
No, we will have substantial completion and a CO, or they're very confident in the CO prior to that holiday break. Our only concern is the additional time it's going to be required, most likely over that holiday break, of our own internal folks getting those areas prepped for use with the furniture and all of that. But one way or another, it'll get done. And the construction folks aren't worried about the construction end of it. It's more of just a prep. So our internal folks are really pushing them to give them a little extra time.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Other questions? Ms. Stern.
Just a few comments. First of all, great presentation. Thank you so much. Second meeting, right? When I saw in, I don't know if it was this week's or last week's memo, that there were no delays whatsoever to the teachers getting in the buildings for their meetings and to prep for school, opening of school. I just think that's really commendable. There are absolutely no delays in the summer where our previous BA retired. We had an interim BA and, you're starting. I mean, I just think that speaks very highly to these very well-oiled machine that has, for all of this work has been put in place. I just literally marvel at all the work that has been done. I mean, I went to 3 events in one night. I saw a brand new playground that, I think to your point, like, I was like, we have these kinds of playgrounds. That's just in our own schools. It's not even like, it's just I mean, really, like, I don't know a place I've seen such a nice playground, and I'm proud of that. That's a good thing. We should have those kinds of facilities for our kids. The 2 APRs that I saw that night, the brand new APRs, I mean, they're just absolutely beautiful and stunning. And compared to, the years I've been in the buildings before, it's phenomenal. And this summer I drove by, I left work and I drove by one of the schools where the entirety of the front was completely dug up. And, there was gating everywhere. And I think most people would be upset to see that. I just almost cried to see the level of, work that is being done. I mean, our district facilities are being transformed. And it's really, we're starting to now see we're in year 3, I guess, of construction. And we're really starting to see things come to fruition. So it's exciting. I did want to ask about the AC, because that's still being installed throughout the district in some of our buildings. Is that correct? Because I can tell you it was pretty hot in one of the buildings I was in last week. So just want to check on that one.
Yeah, yes, lots of AC work, still ongoing. We did have, or are having some, I neglected to mention, we are having some new HVAC issues at Rosa in the 2-story addition there that's being addressed. It looks like a manufacturer's defect on some of the units there. So we're trying to get to those as quickly as possible as well. But a lot of critical HVAC work still to be done over the next 3 to 4 years.
Other board members? I'm checking for Ms. Palmer. I don't want to forget her. She's saying no. All right, I only have one question, which is for Kilmer. I just wanted to, when we're talking about the Kilmer playground, are we talking about the K-5 playground or the preschool playground, or both?
Both.
Both. Excellent.
Yes. Yeah, so both will commence construction at the same time and supposed to wrap up in December.
That is excellent. I'm sure those kiddos will be thrilled to get out there.
Yeah.
Even if it's freezing in January, they need to get out and get out that energy. So any other questions from the board? Thank you, Mr. Shim, for a very thorough report. It's really exciting to see all the construction going on in the district. Moving on to correspondence. I'm going to start on this side with Ms. Stern this time, and we'll go around the circle. Correspondence for this week.
I think I just have the back to school nights and the ice cream social ribbon cutting playground. I don't know if you want me to talk. So I think it was last Thursday. It was last Thursday night, the start of school. Mrs. Winters and I were at the ribbon cutting for the Russell Knight playground, which was phenomenal. It was ice cream social. It was so well attended, which kind of shocked me given it was the first week of school. Tons of happy kids and families, and the kids were just literally pushing forward. As soon as the ribbon was cut, they went on the playground. They couldn't wait to play. It was so great to see that. And then I headed over to Johnson for their back to school night, where I saw Miss Giordano, who's now the principal there, and the great PTA, the great staff who were thrilled with all the changes, all the bond work. Just couldn't thank us enough for the APR, not thank us, but thank the district enough for the APR. which was beautiful. And then I headed over to see the folks over at Kingston, Dr. Marble. I saw Mr. Fain coming on in for back to school night. A lot of families, great turnout, and all the from both schools that I was in for back to school night. Dr. Marble was the most succinct he's been in announcements, according to him, in years. He timed himself. Went through it very quickly. But just, great to see parents, the PTA, some of the kids who came out to back to school night. And again, I took myself into the new APR because I missed, unfortunately, the grand openings the previous week. I think it was the previous week. I've lost track of time. And great, just great energy in all the schools, and all of the unique ways that, people are excited to be back to school. I did also want to share, one of the staff members did comment to me that they're already seeing a difference with the kids coming into kindergarten in terms of their school readiness, in terms of their skills. And part of that I believe part of that is due to preschool. They attributed that partly to preschool and partly to being kind of further along and kids being very fully adjusted to being in school again after, all the challenges since 2020. So I was happy to hear that, and very staff are very encouraged about preschool expansion and what that means for our kids. That's it.
Thank you. Dr. Dreisen.
Yes, thank you. I attended Beck New Student Orientation. Great turnout, really well organized. In addition to the information session, I had an opportunity to participate in one of the tours. So just a really fun night and fun opportunity for me to learn more about Beck.
Perfect. Mr. Greenbaum.
Thank you. Nothing to report this week, but looking forward to back to school nights later this week.
Awesome. I was at Rosa New Student Orientation, which was super fun. I got to wander around B Wing on a tour and see all the new construction. I literally gasped when I turned the corner and saw the transformation in that building, and I can't wait for it to happen in all the buildings. I went to orientation at Malberg for our preschoolers, which is always super fun to see all the families coming in to see their preschool classrooms. I got to see some of the new construction there firsthand as well. Always a fun time at Malberg. And then I was at the ice cream social, and then I was at back to school night at Woodcrest last night, which was amazing. I was there with Miss McCartney, and I actually got to speak with one of our new basic skills instructors, which was a treat for me. So we were talking about how big of a transformation that's going to be in the district for elementary schools who now have basic skills teachers. So really fun times all around. Mr. Mayor.
Nothing since the last meeting, but we'll be attending Cherry Hill West's back to school night this coming Thursday.
Awesome. Ms. Fain
Nothing to report.
and Ms. Palmer.
I think I talked about Carusi's new student orientation at the last meeting, but I am looking forward to a slew of back to school nights and other beginning of the year activities coming up. So more next time.
Perfect. We are trying to make it to every single back to school night, and I believe that we can. I have a lot of faith in us. Sometimes there's 5 of them happening in one night, but we're going to be here, there, and everywhere. It's so great to just get out and see all the different school communities. It really is a lot of fun. All right, we have made it to first public comment. There will be 2 opportunities for public comment this evening, and the first public comment session is for board action items only. Tonight, those are action items 17 through 20. If you wish to speak on any topic other than what appears on our agenda, you may speak during second public comment. Speakers must provide their name and municipality. Students may comment on any topic during the first public comment period by identifying themselves as a student. That means online you put an S after your name. That way I know that you're a student, and then you can comment on any topic. We will alternate between speakers in the room and those wishing to comment online, and each speaker has 3 minutes to speak, and the timer on the screen will indicate the amount of time remaining. All statements, questions, and comments should be addressed to the chair, and your inquiry may or may not be addressed by administration at the close of the session. By custom, we start in the room. Is there anyone in the room who would like to provide first public comment this evening? Please approach the microphone, give us your name and municipality.
Rick Short, Cherry Hill. I guess I have a $25 million question. 18.3.
Thank you.
I guess the $25 million question is this. Are we $25 million over budget on the asbestos removal? Because if you look at the Cherry Hill budget, $400,000 is for Rosa and 3.16 is for Carusi. But you're spending 18 million at Carusi and you're spending $11 million at Rosa. So rough numbers are, you are $25 million over budget for, unless I'm reading something wrong here. 25,000, 25 million.
Yeah, I think the numbers you're quoting in the change orders are 18,610 and 11,805. Just
Thank you for the clarification, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schimpf, and thank you for your comment. Going online, give me 1 second to switch over. I see hands raised. The first hand up is Kim. Kim, if you can please provide your full name and municipality and the action item you're speaking on.
Kim Gallagher, Cherry Hill. I'm calling on item 18.2. The item states that the board has received and reviewed the agreement in its entirety and agrees to be bound by its promises, covenants, and terms and conditions. I just want to make sure that the board has actually seen this full agreement prior to the vote on this item so that we understand exactly what we're getting into with this item. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gallagher, for your comment. You just can't quit us. We miss you. Going back to the room, is there anybody in the room who would like to make first public comment? Please approach the microphone and give us your name and municipality. Seeing no takers, I'm going to go back online. The next caller is Laura Einhorn. Please unmute, give us your name and municipality and the action item you're speaking on.
It's Ann Einhorn, Cherry Hill, New Jersey. 19.3, the appointment of Ms. Diaz-Bass as a co-principal. If I'm reading this correctly, at Barton and Kilmer. I've never seen co-principals share elementary schools before, to my knowledge. And I'd also like to know if someone could direct me what line item in the current budget this is budgeted for, because I'm a little confused about that. I would like to speak on 19.1 with the resignations of principals. I'm getting a little concerned in our district that we can't seem to keep our principals for any duration. I understand that they are free to take another job or whatever this case may be. But, you know, we've lost the principal at Beck. We lost the principal at East, apparently, from tonight's agenda. We had an administrative move from Johnson to administration. We had the tragedy at Kilmer. I really was trying to work through all the reassignments at Carusi as far as being assistant principals. Not sure I understand all of that. And I sincerely hope that you're doing your exit interviews and trying to figure out why we can't retain newly hired administrators. They're hard enough to find as it is. And when I see someone, particularly the situation at Beck, who is doing such a great job, it's really concerning. And quite frankly, it can't be easy on the staff at all of the schools that are facing these changes. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Einhorn. Just to clarify, Ms. Diaz-Bass is being hired as an assistant principal to support both the Barton and Kilmer communities. I hope that clarifies that position. Is there anybody else in the room who would like to make first public comment this evening? Seeing no takers in the room on first public comment, I'm looking online. I don't see anyone else for first public comment, so I will close first public comment for tonight and move on to our board work session. Committee chairs are going to give report outs. We are trying something a little bit new. We're going to try to streamline our committee reports since they are available. The full report out is available online. I'm asking committee chairs, starting with myself, to set a timer and try to condense the information, but I encourage board members to ask questions if they have further questions beyond what's being reported on. So with that, the CNI committee met at 7 p.m. on September 2nd. We had a couple of topics we discussed. We had an informational topic, which was really interesting, about Dibbles literacy screening and dyslexia. This was a joint presentation from CNI as well as Ms. Caitlin Mallory, who's our Director of Special Education. We learned about what Dibbles assessments are and the screening, and also talked about the communication that parents will receive about Dibbles, which is new this year. And we talked about the grants that we have received that are facilitating this screening and what is done with the information. So that was great. We also had a presentation from the provost of Rutgers Camden about the new partnership that Ms. Roscoff had spoken about previously between Cherry Hill Public Schools and Rutgers Camden, and what it would look like for our students participating. This opportunity is anticipated to open up in January for our seniors. It's an option for students to go actually to Rutgers Camden and take courses there with Rutgers Camden students. The pathways that will be included are nursing, visual and performing arts, business, computer science, technology, and general arts and science. And you can see on our agenda that the information is there for board member review. And also packets were in the CNI folder. We also approved the musical at High School West, and I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Staffen to speak about that. Is that okay, Ms. Staffen?
Sure. So West has a unique opportunity this year as they were awarded one of 10 licenses in the country to perform the musical Suffs. And it's very a unique opportunity for us because it's still being performed on Broadway, and there is rules that say if it's being performed on Broadway within 50 miles of where you're located, they won't grant you the rights to that. But they had written a grant. And not only does it provide a unique opportunity for West, but it is an incredible opportunity for the Cherry Hill community because it allows us to do some community outreach programming with the Alice Paul Institute. As we know that SUFS is about the women and the suffragette movement, and Alice Paul is from Mount Laurel. So there's an opportunity for our theater students to be able to go and see where Alice Paul lived. In addition to that, it ties directly with our civics curriculum. In addition to that, we have a tie-in with the community. We'll be doing a voter registration outreach with the township, as well as doing something with the League of Women's Voters for Cherry Hill High School West students. So there's not only this incredible opportunity for us to perform this amazing contemporary musical about women's right to vote, but also to be able to tie into the community and to get more and more students involved in that opportunity.
Thank you, Ms. Staffen. You articulated better than I ever could, so we appreciate that. We also talked about the changes that are coming for both NJSLA and NJGPA. That is our standardized testing from the state. For us, it's going to be a different kind of test this year. It's a computer adaptive test. There will also be a pilot of the test coming up this fall in October. Again, this is the state telling us that we must pilot it and administer the new test. Unless I'm incorrect, I don't believe we had a ton of information at this time, but information is forthcoming about this change. There's been a lot in the media about it. I know board members have been following the information, and we'll provide more information as we receive it. We also discussed a new policy that's being developed on AI. Mr. Mayor was so kind as to join us at our meeting since he is the P&L chair. CNI discussed the generative AI policy and then kicked it back over to P&L for their further consideration. And we had a dissertation research study from Ms. Rhonda Oliver, University of Phoenix, that we discussed. And then I finally, in new business, asked for some additional background information on our ML students in preparation for the access presentation we just saw. Do any other committee members have anything to add that I missed? Dr. Dreisen.
Just a fun connection to curriculum for the community with SUFS. We've discussed previously how we are also introducing Aya Malala into our curriculum, and just given that connection right there. But Malala also actually is actually a producer on SUFS. So I think there will be lots of connections for our students.
Thank you so much, Dr. Dreisen. Any other committee members or Mr. Mayor, who was our special guest star?
Well, I don't know about the star, but I was glad to be there. Just to confirm again that I think the conversation on generative AI was certainly informative. We're going to take that up in P&L in October, beginning October. The goal will be to have policy written in through second reading and enforced before the end of the year.
Thank you so much. And one thing we talked about in CNI is that I really encourage all board members to take advantage of all the opportunities that are coming up to discuss what AI policies look like across the state. We are not the only school district in the state grappling with this. Everybody is. And so there's lots of chances coming up through NJSBA, through county meetings in different counties, and through our workshop that'll be in October to get more information. If you do get more information, I encourage you to transfer it over to Mr. Mayor, who is going to be thrilled to receive all of it, comb through it, and helped us craft a wonderful AI policy. So thank you so much. Cutting edge stuff. Anybody else? Ms. Stern.
Yeah, I was beyond excited about the Rutgers-Camden partnership. So I wanted to request, if it's possible, for the presentation to come to the full board. I did ask if it was planned. It doesn't look like it's planned, but I think it's important enough and big enough that it deserves this stage, and it deserves public viewing, which would happen if it were recorded. So that is my request, if that can happen. And along those lines, I would love to know, I know it's just starting, but I would really like to know, how are we going to promote this far and wide so that we really get community engagement and student participation? It's a really kind of groundbreaking deal that we're doing. So
Pretty amazing stuff. I'm excited. Mr. Fain.
I'm not sure if you mentioned this, but I think something that's worth mentioning and make it clear, since everybody wasn't there, that they're ready to go live with this. I thought that this was just like the introduction to what the thought was, but they confirmed that everything is set up legally and all of that. So students are ready to start taking classes as of now, which I thought was pretty incredible.
Yes, they decided to just delay the first cohort, I think, till January, just because we were starting. I think everything was done pretty much in August, but it was too big of a turnaround. So this year's class you can bring this back to high schools East and West, your year. Anybody wants to take classes at Rutgers-Camden, this could happen for you in January. It's a pretty neat opportunity. And there'll be definitely more information forthcoming. My understanding, and Dr. Morton, you can correct me if I'm wrong. So part of the next steps is that Rutgers-Camden will be pushing into the schools to speak with the students and the communities directly at high schools East and West to promote the opportunity. Got it right. Every once in a while. Ms. Stern.
one more piece around that. As a former high school student parent, I will say that sometimes back to school night is the opportune time to share about dual credit, specifically the students that are eligible for dual credit. Parents are there, they're a captive audience, they're hearing from the teachers, they're hearing from administrators. So in my mind, that's an opportune time to push out information like this, as part of the announcements, which there are always announcements. So, not my call how it's done, but just sharing that, I always learned a lot at back to school night as a parent. So.
Thank you. Any other questions for CNI?
I have a very quick question.
Hi, Ms. Palmer. Sorry.
Hi. No, that's okay.
I can't see
With respect to SUFs, I know Ms. Staffen mentioned some opportunities available for obviously students at West. I don't know what the limitations are with the grant, or if there's an opportunity to expand that. Some of those opportunities to students at East, maybe some of our older middle school students, but just food for thought.
Thank you. I think we're going to get more information and stuff as it goes on. Very exciting for the community. I can't wait. All right. Moving on to BNF, Mr. Greenbaum, can you please report out from the BNF committee?
Absolutely. So this will be a little bit shorter because Mr. Schimpf just reported out on almost everything we discussed. This was his first time joining us for BNF. We're also joined by Rob Notley from New Road Construction to receive updates on construction projects. For the community members here in person, you got to see a 45-minute version of what we then followed up on Monday with an almost 2-hour update on our construction projects. But big thank you to Mr. Schimpf for providing that earlier this evening. We also reviewed some of the change orders on our agenda tonight, which Mr. Schimpf also went through earlier this evening. And we addressed a few questions that were received from community and board members, one of which had to do with the trees at Melberg as part of the construction. They will be replaced on a 1-for-1 basis. That's expected later this month with specific placement TBD. Just have to find ideal placement for the trees and make sure they're where utility lines and things like that are, but it will be a 1-for-1 replacement. For more details, go back and watch Mr. Schimpf's presentation. You can read the full report embedded in the agenda, and I think we could look forward to updates on the district website under Cherry Hill tomorrow in the upcoming weeks with some of the pictures we saw tonight, as well as others. Are there any comments or questions from committee members or other board members? All right, well, thank you very much. And again, thank you, Mr. Schimpf, for that great presentation earlier.
Thank you. There's nothing for HR this evening. Moving on to P&L, that's Mr. Mayor. Can you please do the P&L report?
Certainly. Thank you, Mrs. Winter. So I'm not going to relate word for word the conversation. Thank you, board members. I'm sure you've all read the embedded report out. We had first reading on remote attendance, administrative employment contracts, abolishment of record keeping for healthcare settings and school buildings. That's because the Department of Education or Department of Health is no longer requiring that those records be maintained from COVID-19. Also, statutory curricular requirements, which really was just to align with some new, more inclusive language and statutory requirements on students on protection. I did receive through email 1 or 2 questions specifically with regard to remote attendance. So my understanding on remote attendance as written would be that there would be a hard limit of 4 remote attendances per year. And there is an open question, which we can discuss now if need be, on what to do, whether or if in the event of a board member maybe not having 24 hours opportunity to advise the president of the need for remote attendance. So that question is still up, but again, we're in first reading, so we can discuss that and we can come to conclusion before second reading. I would like just very briefly to thank Mrs. Mahan Dr. Mahan, sorry, for giving us an overview of her responsibilities and the responsibilities of the registration office, which frankly, sort of goes I think flies under the radar, unfortunately, and undeservedly. The amount of work that unit does in a very, very small staff is absolutely astounding. The number of touch points that they have with our community, with parents in registering students, and not just those who are relatively new to the community, but all sorts of issues and work that they have to do in order to get students in our classrooms is just astounding. And frankly, I think I personally took for granted that work is done and is simple and just check the box, and it's anything but that. So I was really impressed with what really happens, how much work they have, what they are able to accomplish with such a small and dedicated staff. They work hard. They need our support. I wish there was more we could do to support them, but certainly very thankful for the work that they do. And with that, that's it for P&L.
Thank you. And there is no report for the governance committee this evening either. So we will move to our special action agenda. And I will start with CNI. Superintendent recommends, and I move the following: 17.1, approval of attendance at workshops for the 25-26 school year. 17.2, approval of doctoral research project. 17.3, resolution approving extension of service agreements. And 17.4, approval of professional service agreements for the 25-26 school year. Do I have a second? Mr. Fain, are there any questions on the CNI agenda this evening? Seeing no questions, Mr. Schimpf, please open the voting.
Voting is open. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. Before we move on to the BNF agenda, I just want to note that agenda item 18.2 is being held on consent between the administration and the board tonight. We'll not be voting on that action item tonight. Mr. Greenbaum, please move the rest of the BNF agenda.
Thank you. The superintendent recommends, and I move the following. 18.1, approval of bill lists. 18.3, resolution for the award of change orders. 18.4, resolution to approve occupational health services agreement for the 2025-2026 school year. Do I have a second? Ms. Stern, are there any questions? Mr. Fain?
I know you literally just said this, but just to confirm, we're voting on 18.1, 18.3, and 18.4.
That is correct. Are there any other questions? Seeing none, Mr. Schimpf, please open the voting.
Voting is open.
Mr. Schimpf, I just have to recuse myself from 18.1, the first bill list, due to a conflict of interest with Beata. Thank you.
Mr. Schimpf, I need to abstain from the payments to Bancroft on 18.1, the bill list.
So noted. Motion carries.
Mr. Schimpf, well, I was just waiting for you to finish writing there. Also on 18.1, well, I'm a yes on all, but have to recuse myself from a payment to ESS on 18.1 to also avoid a conflict of interest.
Noted. Thank you. Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Schimpf. Mr. Fain, can you please move the HR agenda this evening?
Sure. Forgot I had a job. The superintendent recommends, and I move the following: 19.1, termination of employment certificated; 19.2, termination of employment non-certificated; 19.3, appointment certificated; 19.4, appointments non-certificated; 19.5, assignment salary change certificated; 19.6, assignment salary change non-certificated; 19.7, other compensation certificated; and 19.8, other compensation non-certificated. Do I have a second? Ms. Winters, are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, Mr. Schimpf, can you please open the voting?
Voting is open. Motion carries unanimously.
That is excellent because I spy in the audience two brand new assistant principals. I see Mr. Fryer and Dr. Tarrant. Would either of you like to come to the microphone? We are so excited to have you here in Cherry Hill.
Oh, hello, everyone. I just want to say thank you for having me, and I'm so excited to kind of be back home. I spent over half my life in Cherry Hill, and to come back and work in this community that I was raised and been here for so long, it's exciting. So I'm excited to be here, happy to be part of Carusi staff, and just want to say thank you again.
Thank you so much.
I'll echo the sentiments. I'm a local kid from Medford. But my wife was in the Air Force. We moved around a lot, so we're excited to be back in the area to settle down and have a home. So thank you guys again.
Thank you so much. It's really exciting. We're thrilled that you're here. Moving on to P&L. Mr. Mayor, please move the P&L agenda.
Thank you. The superintendent recommends that I move the following. Item 20.1, approval of harassment, intimidation, and bullying investigation decisions. Those were those that the board heard on August the 26th. Item 20.2, resolution for the approval of harassment, intimidation, bullying hearing decision, also the same date. Item 20.3, approval of waiver of policies 8110 and 5111 2. Do I have a second? Mrs. Sherfane, are there any questions? Seeing none, Mr. Schimpf, would you open the voting?
Voting is open.
Mr. Schimpf, I have to abstain from, sorry, I'm gonna just do my vote right there. 20, I actually can't see it on, I think 20.1 and 20.2. I actually am not sure which. I don't know if 20.1 was discussed on the data, wasn't there.
Mrs. Stern, those are the same. We
They are
both
the
on
same, okay.
date.
Okay, so I'm abstaining from 20.1 and 20.2 to be clear. Thank you.
Noted, motion carries.
Thank you. And there are no items under governance tonight, so I'm going to move to new business. Do any board members have any new business? I have new business. I just wanted to say at the public meeting that all board members who are still seated on the board have completed the board self-evaluation process. And that has gone to New Jersey School Board Association, and they will be coming to discuss the results with us at our retreat, which will be on October 13th. So thank you to board members for completing that. And I look forward to a really good discussion, as well as establishment of board goals, which has not happened in quite some time, definitely since I've been on the board. So I'm excited about that. Any other board members have new business this evening? Any board members have old business this evening? Seeing no new business and no old business, I will move us to second public comment. We are now at the second public comment session where speakers make comments on any matter directly relevant to the school district. Again, you must state your name and municipality clearly for the record and direct your comments to the chair. Public comment is an opportunity for members of the community to provide input to the Board of Education on educational issues. The board welcomes diverse opinions on relevant matters. However, statements that are abusive, obscene, or which demean or defamatory to any individual or any group of individuals will not be tolerated. Such comments are disruptive to the orderly operation of this meeting. Speakers wishing to provide the board with information which is not relevant to the district's operations may communicate directly with superintendent and board president via email or other alternative means. By custom, we start in the room. Is there anyone who would like to make second public comment this evening? Please approach the microphone and give us your name and municipality.
Colin Duckett, Cherry Hill. Just want to put an idea all in your head. Something that popped into my mind after hearing about that great SUFS opportunity at West is very important, especially considering how prevalent discrimination and bias has become today in our political world, as well as in our smaller communities. But in thinking about that voter registration, in order to have a more participative, I don't know if that's the right word, district and an engaged district, as you might be aware, a couple of years ago, the legislature passed a bill allowing for individual school districts or the general population, either or, to allow 16 and 17-year-olds to vote in the election and in school board elections. Just something I wanted to plant that seed in your heads to think about, and especially as we're trying to vamp up our civic engagement with students, particularly as we are, with our great district goals, training our student government officers and our student representatives to more adequately represent their peers. Just something to think about, especially as those students graduate and go on to be active members of society, jury duty, serving their community in other ways, whether that be military or public service. Just something to think about. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Going online, I see a hand raise. It's Candy Cummings. It's your turn. Please unmute and give us your name and municipality.
Hi, Candy Cummings, Cherry Hill. I just wanted to take a minute to talk about the recently signed MOU between Rutgers Camden and Cherry Hill. So last week, I was also at the Curriculum and Instruction Committee meeting where Sandy Richtermeyer and Chris Wall of Rutgers shared the overview of a new partnership between Rutgers Camden and Cherry Hill Public Schools. And I want to start by saying that this program is exactly the kind of forward-thinking initiative that benefits our students and strengthens our community and reflects the academic excellence that Cherry Hill should be known for. There are 3 key points I want to highlight: the student benefit, community reputation and family impact, and academic excellence. First, the student benefit is clear. This program allows high school seniors to earn up to 15 college credits at a reduced cost while experiencing the rigor and expectations of a university classroom. This early exposure builds confidence, accelerates a student's pathways to a degree, and saves families real dollars on future tuition. Second, the community impact is powerful. A partnership with Rutgers Camden builds bridges between our students and one of New Jersey's top universities. It shows families that Cherry Hill doesn't just prepare students for graduation. We create opportunities that launch them into their next chapter. Programs like this position our district as a leader in innovative, practical opportunities that benefit students and strengthen the wider community. Finally, this is about academic excellence. By thoughtfully layering AP courses, dual credits with community colleges, and now this Rutgers program, our students have multiple avenues to challenge themselves and reach higher. And that's the kind of well-rounded preparation we should be proud to offer, rooted in rigor, opportunity, and support, and it aligns directly with the vision outlined in our portrait of a graduate program. As someone who believes deeply in opening doors for students, strengthening community partnerships, and making sure every decision balances opportunity with responsibility, I see this program as a very powerful step forward. It affirms our commitment to preparing students not just for today, but for the future with skills, credit, and confidence already in hand. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Going back to the room, is there anyone else who would like to make second public comment? Please approach the microphone.
Good evening. My name's Steve Timon. As far as your renovations, I happen to be in
Can
Carusi.
you give us your municipality,
Oh,
please?
Cherry Hill.
Thank you
sorry.
so much. I'm sorry.
I happened to be in Carusi the other day, and the school looks tremendous. And I'm just so impressed because I've been there several times for different shows, and you can't even see down the hallway, and it looks great. And my kids are graduates at Cherry Hill, and they have done tremendous. My son graduated with the IB diploma when IB was here, and he was one of 6 kids that got it, and now he's director of security for a large bank in Australia. I'm here for another reason, and it has to do with security. I've been in business since I'm 25 years old. I started working when I was a young man for a store that just left here a few years ago, Jack Kelmer Company. My dad was the manager. What are the rules and regulations for punching in and out for staff? And the reason why I'm saying that is I am very upset. I live by a staff member who seems to be home more than he's in school. He's supposed to be in a high school at 7:30. His car doesn't leave sometimes till an hour later. He was at Cherry Hill West. He was home many times during the day. He's supposed to be in school. I have dear friends that one just retired from Cherry Hill East. I have other teacher friends that work at different schools. And I was under the impression the only time you're allowed to leave the building is at lunchtime. Well, this particular person, and I'll be more than happy to share it with Dr. Morton or Mr. Birdie, he's stealing time from school. Okay, I had businesses at the Jersey Shore for over 30 years. My kids punched in and out on a regular basis. I grew up working in a supermarket. We punched in and out for break. We punched in and out for lunch. This is not right. It's not right to the other employees. It's not right to the other teachers. This person's supposed to be teaching, and he's not teaching. And I did report him 2 years ago. It fell on deaf ears. Well, now it's gotten worse. And I think this needs to be addressed because quite frankly, he's stealing from the school district of Cherry Hill. And I don't want to say his name out publicly, but I'd like to take care of this because this isn't fair. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Going back online, the next person is Laura Einhorn. It's your turn. Please unmute and give us your name and municipality.
Hi, Ann Einhorn, Cherry Hill. So I understand the nuances of the Rutgers partnership, but do we not still have this with Camden County? Because there was a time when the kids could earn college credit through that program. If you could just enlighten me if that's still available to children, our students. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Going back to the room, is there anyone else who would like to make second public comment?
Sarah Jocelyn, Cherry Hill. First, I'd like to thank the presentation on the access report. That was new information for me. I certainly wanted to appreciate the memo of understanding with Rutgers, and it was discussed that there's certainly 3 ways of achieving additional credits. And so I think that's part of the communication package that will be going forward with students and with parents. I think another part of that also will be about the importance of being able to complete the graduation requirements. Because in the state of New Jersey, there are requirements for a certain number of credits in order to graduate in core subjects such as math, ELA, social studies, science, and so forth. And given that it's a half-day type of program, there needs to be some consideration and how that would be achieved, either through the curriculum that is offered at Rutgers or through some other way. So I think that's also part of the communication package that needs to be made available to students and parents as they make these choices. I did want to present that the U.S. Department of Education has given the results of the NAEP state by state performances for academic subjects. They are published in a nice map type of presentation, and you will see that New Jersey as a whole has scored above the average for the country. However, as the Education Department points out, these results are all much lower than they have been in the past. So we, as a goal, of course, are pursuing the academic excellence with our performance for all students. And again, I appreciate the work that's done on interventions, the work that is done on screening, and making sure that our students get the resources they need to achieve at their best level. Finally, I just would like to tee up the communication plans that will be coming forward for items that are on the agenda for this year, such as redistricting with stakeholder meetings that will be coming forward. And of course, the response, the county superintendent response to our Cherry Hill Public School Managing for Equity in Education report. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your comment. Going back online, the next commenter, it's a wider bridge. It's your turn. Please unmute and give us your name and municipality.
Alana Yaris, Cherry Hill. I don't know if the timer is running in the room, but I can't see online that there's a timer. So if that is the case, I'm sorry if I go over my 3 minutes. I don't think I will, but just for the future, if it could be seen online. For agenda item 20 that was voted on tonight, I know that Ms. Sherfain was not at the last meeting, as well as Ms. Stern, and I know Ms. Stern abstained, but I did not hear that Ms. Sherfain had abstained, so I just want to make sure that the vote was properly recorded in the record as to who was present for the meeting versus absent. And then during the presentations tonight, I heard a lot of reference to the Christmas holiday, but I thought in Cherry Hill we had winter break and not the Christmas holiday. Okay, that is all. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Going back to the room, is there anyone else who would like to make second public comment this evening? Please approach the microphone.
Rick Short, Cherry Hill. Real quick before I forget, I did submit the information about going green. We're possibly going to lose 30%, maybe $5 to $8 million in tax credits if you don't act before December 31st. But most of all, the most important thing is the safety and security of our children. And again, I go back to the restorative justice discipline. I done a lot of research on it, and I'm doing even more in-depth research statewide. I am concerned about the suicide deaths occurring. I am meeting with the Mount Holly superintendent. I intend on meeting with him. He is thinking about ending the no hate program because it sounds like he might agree that when you talk about hate all the time, it might cause more hate in our community. Also, like I said, I'm doing a study statewide on stats with districts that have restorative justice because I believe it causes suicides. Now, I just want to point out some states and towns locally. Westwood, New Jersey had a suicide. State
Mr.
College.
Short,
Yes.
please.
Why can I not mention suicides occurring in other schools when it has to do with restorative justice discipline?
Because they're occurring in other schools that are not Cherry Hill
Well,
Public
it could
Schools.
occur here, correct?
Mr. Short.
Because you aren't listening to my warnings about how discipline is causing suicides. You keep interrupting me.
All I'm asking is that respectfully, you connect your comments.
I am
they need to
connecting
be
it.
directly
I'm
relevant to
telling
Cherry
you,
Hill Public
I am
Schools.
telling you, you are doing restorative justice. I'm warning you that this could cause a suicide. It caused a suicide in Mount Holly. That is on the record.
Mr. Short,
Yes.
I'm asking you to please not talk about these tragedies that are happening in other towns. If
Okay,
you want
so
to
you don't
provide
wanna-
information to me about Cherry Hill
Okay,
Public
Ms.
Schools.
President, I will not speak about it then. This isn't right. All right, moving on to comments of on July 22nd, Dr. Morton challenged, and the end of it said, prove us wrong if there's that the consultants aren't radical. So I guess I can't continue on with that. That's all she wrote.
Okay, going back online, I don't see anyone else online with a hand raised. Going back to the room, is there anyone else who would like to make second public comment? Seeing none, I'm going to close second public comment and turn it over to Dr. Morton for superintendent's comments.
Thank you very much, Ms. Winters. So the 25-26 academic school year has gotten off to a successful start. Students and staff have returned with much enthusiasm, optimism, and throughout my visits throughout the district, things are going abundantly well, and I'm very excited and happy for those. Thank you to the staff, thank you to the students, thank you to the families for returning with that positive energy and positive morale. It is absolutely wonderful for me to see classrooms inhabited with children, to see their smiling faces, and to see our staff do what they do so well. It truly is a beautiful thing. The construction that's been happening across the district is absolutely magnificent. I'm not going to go into greater detail about it, but it truly, truly is wonderful to see this district in terms of its facilities being transformed right before our eyes. Outstanding, truly outstanding. As we work through the beginning of the year, there are typically, challenges that are associated with bus routes and things along those lines. We thank families for their patience. There is something called the chain of communication that we have available on the district's website under our schools. Please be sure to follow that chain of communication to ensure that challenges, issues are handled expeditiously. If you email me, I'll try to get back as soon as I can, but there is protocol that we follow so that we can respond appropriately in due time to each individual family. There's discussion this evening about restorative practices. There's been ongoing discussion about restorative practices and what they are. I'm unfamiliar with any research that correlates restorative practices to student suicides. I've never heard anything other than what's been presented here this evening. To speak to what restorative practices truly is, Restorative practices is a way of interacting with students when students have engaged in a behavior that takes away from the community. Essentially, the idea of restorative means that when an individual is taken away from the community, they are put through a questioning protocol so they can help to understand what they've done to impact others. And then they go through a process of speaking about what they can do to restore back to the community what was taken away. In addition to that, there's traditional discipline that's applied. Traditional discipline might be a loss of a privilege. It might be a detention. It might be a suspension. You can look at you can look at our school performance report cards and you can see the discipline that's been applied to students. So there are two things. Now, typically the thinking is that if we just apply discipline without causing students to be reflective, they never truly learn from their behavior. So much like interactions that I had with Anthony Morton, my father, put through a series of questions when I engage in a behavior that's not conducive with our family's values. It's similar, right? School is a sort of a family structure and a family system. So administrators, teachers work with students to go through discussions about helping students understand values for that school, the proper culture, and how students are to conduct themselves. The research actually points to the effectiveness of restorative practices in helping to produce positive school cultures. So please, again, I'm unfamiliar with any of the research that was cited this evening. In terms of staff members clocking in and out, staff members do have ID badges where they're required to scan into a building. That scanning in then goes back and produces a report that principals review on an ongoing basis. Our principals, assistant principals have the responsibility and obligation of monitoring attendance in their buildings when staff members are clocking into the buildings accordingly. If there's information that one has, I definitely would appreciate the conversation with myself, Dr. Birdie, Mr. Guy, or Dr. Mahan. In reference to college and career pathways, yes, we're super excited about the Rutgers partnership. Now, there's a comment this evening about 3 pathways to obtain college credits for our students. AP would be one opportunity for students, right? Students have an opportunity to take an AP course, they take an AP exam. There's a corresponding score that colleges determine that a student needs to achieve, and college credit can be awarded in that instance. We also have dual credit partnerships. Camden County College was mentioned. We also have Rowan College of Burlington County as well that provides opportunities for students to take select courses taught by our teachers where they can pay a fee and have credits awarded to them. The Rutgers partnership is interesting and it's unique in that it provides our students with an opportunity to not only be awarded credits, but to take courses at the university taught by a university professor for a fraction of the cost of that course with other college students while in high school, right? So our juniors and seniors will have that opportunity in moving forward. As we think about college affordability, as we think about preparing our students, as we think about academic excellence, it just makes sense for all of those reasons. We're thankful for the partnership with Rutgers University. And our students would have an opportunity to take courses at Rutgers Camden, but those credits are transferable to any one of the Rutgers campuses across the state. In reference to administrative resignations, it is something that we closely examine. I completely and totally acknowledge the fact that we seek for stability within our district. We are a relational district, it's about relationships with families and with students. Anytime you have the head of a school leave, it's definitely challenging. But as we analyze the reality and analyze the facts around each of the departures we've had, we've had administrators receive substantial increases in pay. We've had individuals receive promotions and move from one position to higher level district positions. There's a variety of reasons. Nonetheless, it impacts us all the same here. We want stability. We seek stability, and that's exactly what we strive for, and that's what we'll continue pushing for, and make sure that our schools have. With that being said, just like to mention, this Thursday is Patriots Day, September 11th, and as a native New Yorker who was in New York City at the time of the attacks on the World Trade Center. I just reflect on the resilience of those in the city and those throughout the country, and the unity and togetherness. It was an interesting feeling of how people came together and worked to support our first responders and those families who had lost people. I had friends who were lost during that time. It's just a reminder for us to continue to work toward that feeling of unity, that idea of collaboration as we move forward. Those are all sound virtues that that we follow here in Cherry Hill Public Schools as well. With that, I'll say thank you to everyone for their comments this evening. Have a great night.
Thank you so much. I make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? Mr. Fain, all board members in favor? Motion is unanimous. It carries. Have a great night, everybody.